Hello, gentlemen and ladies. Once again, Professor Parkinson with yet another edition of Solo Guitar Concepts. And today we are going to thrust aside our rhythmic and groove implications on which we have been working and talk about something that I probably should have mentioned earlier, because this will just really lead you to starting to craft your own arrangements capably and ably, and it's actually a pretty simple thing to do once you get down to it. What I'm talking about today is melody and how to frame it by playing bass notes and just basically root motion, root bass notes, no bass lines, no rhythmic implication, just sort of like a rubato sort of feel. In order to exemplify this, let's take a tune that you probably are aware of if you don't know it already, which is Hote, California by the Eagles. Now, the reason I chose that song is because it has enough chords to make it challenging. And the melody is actually rather simple, which makes it more, facile to actually play on a guitar and not have to really wrestle with fingerings all too much. So, in order to first get to that, let's go over the chords in case you don't know them. Chords are, real quick, B minor, F sharp major, A major, E major, G major, D major, E minor, F sharp major. And that is the entire progression for the verse. Now, as far as the melody is concerned, the bitch about guitar is you can play the melody in a trillion different places, and it all really depends on what you want it to sound like. It's all an aesthetic thing, really. So I will, for the sake of argument right now, play the melody here. On the top, on the high E string, 2nd fret, F sharp. Those are basically the 3 notes of gravity they're going to be hitting, is just like an F sharp, an E, and a D throughout the entire melody, pretty much. Now, if I throw in the bass notes, not the chords themselves, but just the bass notes while playing that melody, it would sound something like this. Now, what I did there is I basically just had all the bass notes in that particular area and just moved around while holding the melody down. Now, I don't know if you noticed this, but when I hit like the G, for instance, I had to change my finger. I could no longer finger it with my index finger like I was the first couple of chords. Like, you got this, and I finger it with my index again. Then it's an open string, even easier. Now when I go to this G, if I were to finger it with my index finger like I did the others, I wouldn't be able to hit that 2nd fret unless I did it with my thumb, like that sort of thing. And you don't really want to do that too often because it hurts and it's awkward and it's, not really necessary for the most part. But you can do it if you'd like. What I might suggest is, rather than just doing it here, and after having figured out the fingering difficulties where you want to shift to a different finger for the bass note because it would not facilitate you being able to play the melody in that area, try to play it in a different area, see what that yields. So say I start on the 7th fret of the low E string as my B note, and I do this. I'm saying it's a totally different sound. The thicker the string, obviously, the thicker the sound, and less tinny or percussive, or potentially. And really, at the end of the day, the more flexibility you have playing it all over the neck and all sorts of variations, the freer you're going to end up being to improvise with this stuff, which is the ultimate goal. So go ahead and figure that out. I'm not going to really break it down further beyond that. But what I will do is I will play another example real quick of this in practice, and I'll use a tune. Let's do it standard, and it's just going to be an improvised kind of impromptu thing. You know, I'm not playing some crazy arrangement that I did or anything. Let's do "Someday My Prince Will Come," and I'll play the bass line, or the bass notes rather. Then I'll play the melody. Then I'll play melody and bass notes together. Then maybe I'll throw in some chords to, you know, spice it up a little bit. So without further ado, the bass notes will be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Melody would be 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Something along those lines for the first A section. So when we put them together with bass and chords, you get this. Something along those lines. If I were to embellish it a bit further now and try to throw in some chords, I might get something like... Obviously the second time I took a little bit more liberties, but still kind of kept it really basic, laying down the bass note, the roots 99% of the time. I don't really think I played any inversions or anything crazy, and kept the integrity of the melody going. I might have played a little fill here and there, but really kept it pretty basic, like I said. And what we'll do next time is start slowly and methodically figuring out how to interject chords or filling in different things, whether it's chords, intervals, etc., to further, you know, iterate or further define the harmony. In the meantime, mess around with that, try to figure out a couple of songs, melodies, and bass lines, or you know, just get them offline if you must. And good luck. Peace.